Welcome to my kitchen. Almost all of my recipes come from a Betty Crocker cookbook, and I double or triple it depending on what it is I'm making. Today, for Sweet Sunday, we're going to make cosmic brownies. I preheated my oven to 350 degrees and prepared my pan. I like to get as much done as I can before I get started, get everything measured out, get my eggs all whipped up, get everything done so that when I actually start putting it together, it just comes together super fast. I actually didn't have enough butter for this recipe, so I just grabbed out some tallow. I use tallow to grease my pans and in all kinds of baking and cooking, but it really goes well with gluten-free cooking and dairy-free cooking. This is the recipe that I used here. Of course, this is the recipe doubled, so in the comments, I'll put the recipe as it is in the Betty Crocker cookbook. When I change out my butters or my chocolates, I just change it to the allergy-friendly things that I can buy from the store, or like I said, tallow, coconut butter, or the olive oil country crock butter. And then I just changed out the almond bark for the Nestle dairy-free chocolate chips. We're going to put all of our butter and our chocolate or our tallow or whatever our fat is into our pot, and you want to melt everything, but you want to do it on a really low heat. Don't let it come to a boil. You don't want to hear it cracking and popping. You just want the fats to just slowly melt and get to a nice liquid consistency. Don't be afraid to make things dairy-free and gluten-free. There's anything you need available now to replace those fats or replace those flours, and it's much more affordable than what it used to be. Although I had a little bit of sticker shock when I went and purchased the chocolate chips the last time. It was $7 for one bag of the chocolate chips. So if you figure I get 2 recipes of something out of it, that's $3.50 a piece for each recipe. And if I'm making a cake brownie that has, say, 20 servings, so then if you think about it that way, it's $3.50 into a, cut up between 20 pieces. So at that point, that's a really nice dairy-free treat for our family. So this here that you see is actually what the dairy-free chocolate chips melted look like. When I added in my 1.5 cups of sugar, my 2 cups of sugar, you just really want to dissolve that completely. Let that chocolate just mix completely in. So this is the chocolate, the fat, and the sugar now, and we're completely mixing that in together. Chocolate is one of the best things to use in a dairy-free or gluten-free recipe because it has lots of flavor and it's just so forgiving in everything that you cook with it. Now listen, I was out of vanilla. This is supposed to be 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I didn't have any, which just was shocking to me. I literally looked for the vanilla for 45 minutes because I was so shocked that there wasn't any vanilla. So I just replaced it with maple extract, which actually ended up tasting really, really, really good. So don't be afraid to replace things. You heard me say I didn't have enough butter, so I used tallow. I didn't have any vanilla, so I used maple extract. Don't be afraid to experiment and replace ingredients with what you have on hand. Don't run to the store just because you're out of one thing. Now this is why I didn't want you to heat the chocolate up too much, because when you pour that egg in there, you don't want it to scramble. You just want it to mix in there and just get thoroughly mixed throughout the batter without causing any chunks or scrambled eggs, because if this chocolate is too hot, it's going to scramble those eggs and it's disgusting. So you can see that it's all mixed in there now. Super easy. Now we're going to add our flour. So here's a trick with my flour. I do half store-bought organic flour that you just buy on the counter and half ground flour. I'm trying to make the switch completely over to just ground flour, but we're not there yet. It obviously causes much more of a denser cupcake or cake or treat, whatever it is that you're making. And we are getting used to and transitioning into the new consistency. However, we are not there yet. And so I feel good about mixing half and half. I'm okay that I'm slowly transitioning my children to that. My older 4 children lived on the ground flours that we ground, but then I stopped for a while and now we're getting back to it. And you noticed I wanted to get every bit of chocolate chips out of that bag. When I make my brownie, I like to just layer even more chocolate chips in my pan because nothing goes better with chocolate than chocolate. So then this batter that I just made on the stovetop, we're just going to put over those chocolate chips into my prepared pan. That is actually so satisfying. And the thing that's nice about this is what you're looking at here is the dairy-free brownie. And you cannot tell the difference in this recipe between the dairy-free and the regular brownie. So brownie is something that is so forgiving when it comes to trying to bake allergy safe, as long as the child or the person doesn't have chocolate allergy. There is a lot that you can do with chocolate to kind of cover the fact that you're using maybe milled grains, or that it has to be gluten-free, or that you're having to use alternative flours, or you don't have what you need on hand and say you're trying to make it gluten-free and you decide to use rice flour and amaranth. Well, this is going to really cover up any of those flavors, but yet still feed a lot of people. And it's literally just the Betty Crocker brownie recipe. And I'll actually type the recipe into the comments so you have the actual recipe. And then for this video, everything is doubled. So what you're seeing here is double. So this actual recipe is going to make like an 8x8 pan versus this bigger pan. But with the size of my family, we need the bigger pan. So we're going to bake it at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. And while we're doing that, I'm going to make up the glaze. Guys, I'm awful with recipes. I don't know. This is about a cup of powdered sugar, a couple tablespoons of cocoa powder, and then I just use this Chobani, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, oat milk. And then I'm just not real worried about it. I'm just drizzling it right on top. And then what you don't see on here is I scrape the bowl so that I don't have any waste. And then this is the Wilkins dye-free sprinkles, which are so good. I'm so impressed with these. I just bought these on Amazon. And then, you know, you get that cosmic brownie feel without any of the dyes that are in it. And so this is the brownie that I made. And I'm so happy with how it turned out. And I'm just so excited that this is a dairy-free option for families who are looking to make a dessert. And it was, like I said, really forgiving because I didn't even have enough of my dairy-free butter. And I ended up just using tallow for it in place of all the dairy-free butter. It was like half and half. And I'm just so happy with how that turned out. And it's a big success. The kids loved it. So happy Sweet Sunday.